movies. We watch movies. You listen to us talk about movies that we watched without you.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Hello, is there anybody in there?
Just not if you can hear me.
Is there anyone home?
Oh, I bet when the wall. Oh, Trey's not caught up. Never mind.
Oh.
I'm sure you already know.
I've become incestually numb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we could do a whole Pink Floyd Game of Thrones thing.
The game of the Wall of the Thrones.
Taking away the
Moments
that
make
a dick
throne penis
gray.
day.
Theo lost his penis.
Oh, he did.
That was a long time ago. You've seen that.
I've seen that episode. The last episode I saw was
when he got his penis checked.
Yeah,
you were
that
like,
was it. I was done.
You were this is peak television. Why would I continue watching?
It won't get any better than this.
Yeah,
that's for true. That's for true. That's peak television. Penis cutting.
Yeah, and then he bites into that big old sausage.
Yeah, it's a good little juxtaposition of the images.
Uh-huh.
You like that word, juxtaposition?
It's almost like you went to film school or
something. I did go to film school, Adam. I went to film school, and we learned all about juxtaposition of images when we watched 2001: Space Odyssey. And
no, you mean the old one?
Yeah, the old one.
Space Odyssey, the old one.
Yes, the old one. I remember that story.
Right? Yeah,
the old one, not the one that came out.
Not the one that came out in 2001.
The old one.
The old one.
The old one. And when the little monkey guy, he throws that little bone up, and the bone starts spinning, and then you see the spaceship spin. That's juxtaposition.
Matchstick cut.
And it represents technology and our advancement of technology.
In that instance. And also technology because they edited the film. Can you imagine if they didn't invent editing? What movies would look like?
Yeah. I mean, they would just look like...
They would look like plays.
They would? They would look like plays, and plays aren't that bad.
Actually, it may look a lot like Birdman.
There you go. That's a segue if there ever was one. Films.
Hey, Kat, I know you're listening to this because you're seriously considering this for drive time during the week.
Yes, during the week. Get the hard line out of here.
Yeah.
Like, we're done with the hard line. We're done with dumb music dudes dying.
Yeah, how about bringing the young, dumb kids talk about movies?
Yeah, the cool
that no
kids.
one watch anymore.
No, people don't watch anymore. They talk about, they just see films and superhero fluff.
We're just hitting all the high notes today.
Yeah, come on, Kat, get us a job. Get that Corby Davidson out of there. Actually, Corby can be our board op.
You know
we'll
what?
Give him that.
He can go and do a podcast on the.
You know what? He can.
The Supercast 64 network.
If the tables turn and we get the shows and they don't have to do podcasts.
Yeah, he can do Blue Oyster Cult Cast 64.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I'm trying to think of his other favorite.
You completely deflated there.
I'm trying to think of his. Who does he like?
Roger Federer.
Roger Federer Cast 64. Or
I'm excited.
What's the 90s Jesus? I hate this.
What's the
90s
Jesus?
This 90s band.
90s Jesus was Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. Super Kurt Cobain didn't really kill himself, Cast 64.
Did you know that Kurt Cobain had blue eyes?
No one knows what it's like to be the sad man.
One blue this way and one blue that way.
That's very disrespectful to a rock and roll legend. And I'm not going to accept that. I'm not gonna stand for that on this show.
You were big into the grunge.
I was. He was my hero.
Yeah,
when I was 5.
3 years old.
He was my god, and then he killed himself.
And then you're like, Dave Grohl, please save us.
Save us. This is Super FilmsCast 64. You know what Austin told me? He doesn't like the casual intros. He thinks it's pretentious.
Oh, it's certainly pretentious, but that's what we're all about here on Super FilmsCast 64.
FilmsCast, yes. We are pretty pretentious.
You know what I think is pretentious?
Mm-hmm.
Him just going, "Yep," the whole episode.
Whoa.
Hey!
It's a shot to Austin.
It's not pretentious, I suppose. I guess it's just off-putting.
Him just saying, "Yep,
Yep."
yep." That's his whole contribution to the GamesCast.
Yeah, Trey
in
will
your
talk.
opinion?
Trey will talk for 20 minutes, and then Austin goes, "Yep." And then sometimes he'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing? You playing your Switch?" And then he'll go,
"Yep,
yep." He's like, "Hey, I got one more dungeon left. What do you expect me to stop doing this for 20 minutes?"
You know, I'm not going to comment on any of these accusations of your listening habits on the GamesCast.
Yeah,
he's a good contributor, and I'm happy to have him sitting right in front of me.
You know, we kind of ruined our segue. We had a good segue, and then we had a fun bit that we kind of dropped right away, and now we just got right into the complaining section.
Yeah, we did. This is why we can't have our own show. We're not consistent with our material. I forgot even what the bit was.
Well, it started off talking about how technology had advanced, and then I said, imagine if there was no editing.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Yeah, then we got into
And
Birdman.
then we talked about plays, and then we talked about Birdman, and then we talked about Kat giving us the hardlines spot.
Hello. It's me, the old gray crane. No, that's not what I call myself. This is me, baby. This
the
is me, Adam
FilmsCast.
It's 3:40 here on the ticket. This is Adam Fullerton. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, baby. It's me, Adam.
Can I please be Grego?
I do a lot of cocaine.
Well, that's what I was implying it.
Yeah,
saying
I just
it.
came out and said it. Kat, this is what you're going to get if you give us that weekend spot.
Mm-hmm. Full of Grego bits.
Dude, we go at the jugular. You think Mark was bad?
Oh,
baby.
Oh, man.
Oh, baby.
I'm going to have a Twitter alert, and whenever Grego tweets, we're going to play an air raid siren for 15 seconds, and then read whatever Grego tweeted.
Let's do that. Would be a great bit if we weren't at the ticket. That'd be amazing. I would love that bit because that would definitely be newsworthy. Mm-hmm. That'd be show-stopping every time. Anyway, this is Super FilmsCast 64. I hope it sounds good because we didn't do a mic check.
What was all that stuff we were doing before then?
I don't know.
I was saying check a lot.
Well, I didn't listen back, so the levels look kind of weird.
Oh, well, that was me saying, Trey, give me a check. I haven't been paid to do this at all.
Oh.
Check.
We're getting to the bottom of the whole thing now, aren't we?
Yeah. What, don't we deserve money for the fives of listeners that we have?
The fives. The
all
tens.
The five? Oh.
Give us a tens.
I guess there's tens.
There's tens of listeners. Mm-hmm. Maybe. There's no way to know, really.
I mean, some people, they just leave up their SoundCloud and just random stuff starts playing.
Yeah.
And they get in and they're like, wow, these guys are singing Pink Floyd parodies.
Even you could be a SoundCloud rapper. You just got to post it on SoundCloud and then you're there. You've made it. You've made it, baby.
Everybody's doing the baby thing.
I'm just doing it from you.
Did I start the baby thing?
You might have. I'm just stealing your bit. Or I'm making fun of you. You can
no, that's fine. You can make fun of me because Spencer started doing it. Yeah, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that came from me.
It is.
And then I think someone was like, Spencer, why do you keep saying baby? And I was like, I think I do that on the podcast a bunch.
You do it on the podcast. You do. Yeah, baby. Well, let me tell you, baby, on the podcast a lot. That's
11.5, baby.
Yay. A lot of just zingers from Adam. Yep. Austin doesn't have the zingers. He just.
That's not true. That's Austin's 100% zinger.
He's just a yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well,
sure.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes that's the ultimate zinger. It's the zingers that are left unsaid that are the ones that zing hardest.
Mm-hmm. I agree, Adam. Only if you knew about video games. Good God. We could rule the world. Anyway, this is Super FilmsCast 64. This is the show where we talk about the films and all the films that you like to talk about.
Yeah.
Generic.
Trey just died, everyone. He turned off my mic and his mic because it was so bad that it just turning off his mic would not have been enough.
You know, for two guys hoping to maybe get a chance to be on a weekend program, the first 10 minutes have not gone so well.
I feel like I've really brought it. I just think, maybe we just haven't gotten to any sort of point at all.
No, like I think that's the issue with any show that I've been a part of is that it hasn't gone to the point.
Well, let's do it. Let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point. Today we're going to talk about the films we've been watching. We're also going to talk about Wind River. We both saw that movie.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about some news. We have some news, right?
Yeah.
And I have the list of the rest of the movies coming out this year. Well, the ones that I'm interested in, you can add some too, because I know there are a few that you're more aware of than I am, and I definitely want to hear those. And I already know now I missed one on the list.
Okay.
Because a lot of those websites, they'll just list the movies and give you the description, but it's like they don't put the director. And sometimes it's like, well, I'm not interested in that plot, but if I hear the director name, okay, now I'm interested.
Right.
Like Guillermo del Toro, like that one movie, I think it's called The Shape of the Water. If you just told me the plot and left out the kind of the supernatural things, I don't know if I'd be interested, but I know it's Guillermo del Toro, so I'm interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the name recognition alone hooks you.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that you talked about. Like hearing that, I wouldn't be interested, but I know it's Paul. Okay, yeah, I'll see it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's talk about what we've been watching. You want me to go first, or
yeah, go ahead.
So I have seen 2 movies besides Wind River. The first one, I'll just talk about Ex Machina. I watched that last night.
Okay, I know that Spencer, our guest a few episodes ago, that's like his favorite movie.
Really?
I'm not. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is his favorite movie of all time. But I know he talked about that nonstop for like months after he saw it. Mm-hmm. What did you think?
I thought it was good. I thought it was predictable.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was really well shot. I thought it was well acted, especially with Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
And the other
Oscar
guy from Star
Isaac.
Wars. Yeah, Oscar Isaac. And the other dude from who looks like David Mino, which is weird. But he, I forgot his name.
BB-8?
Yeah. No. He was one of the soldiers. He was one of the top Imperial. I guess they weren't Imperials, but he was one of the villains in Star Wars.
Oh, I know who.
The redhead guy.
Yeah.
So he was in it, and you had. It was really them two, and then the lady, the girl. I don't know what her name is.
That's. Man, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak to it. But it's Emily, whatever, right?
There's no way to possibly know.
You were the one who saw it.
It was it was an interesting premise. I liked the setting.
Never mind. Alicia Vikander.
Okay.
And then Domhnall Gleeson is
Dom Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of things. Like
he's blown up.
Yeah.
He was in The Revenant and Star Wars, and
he was in Harry Potter. I think he played one of the Weasleys.
He was one of the Weasleys. Yeah.
He was in the most disturbing episode of Black Mirror ever.
You think that one was the most disturbing? It's
in a different way. I think the most disturbing, like in this might actually happen, was the contact where you could film.
Oh, yeah.
That might be the most disturbing as far as like this could happen and it's already kind of happening.
Right.
But I think like the most like disturbing as far as just like psychological, personal is that the body double.
So what happens is he dies, and then his wife is very sad without him, and then they basically make a doll with using all of his like tweets and texts and Facebook posts and stuff. They make him, and it's able to talk like him and be like him.
And it's eerily similar to Ex Machina, just kind of thinking about that now, because I don't want to spoil Ex Machina, but a lot of it is about they created this AI. It's this almost kind of a Google search engine website that makes this artificial intelligence, and she gathers information from pretty much the internet, people's searches, histories, and stuff like that. So it was a good movie. I really enjoyed the acting. I thought it was a bit predictable. You could kind of tell what was going on. And one of the twists was like, I thought that was implied. I didn't think that was a twist. It was a bit predictable, but it was good though. Maybe it's predictable because I've heard about it so much since it's been out, and you hear, oh man, this part, and oh yeah, oh man, what happened at the end was terrible, and so maybe it's predictable in that way. Like when I saw Saw for the first time, and my friend kept being like, "Man, you're never gonna guess the twist. You're never gonna guess the twist." Well, you inevitably guess it because you're told you're never gonna guess it.
If you're prepping for a twist, which is kind of why M. Night Shyamalan movies after the second one have not been good, just because everyone's like, oh, he's just gonna have a twist at the end every time, and then you're just bracing yourself for, okay, well, if it's not unexpected, even like if you're expecting something unexpected, then even if you don't necessarily know what it is, it kind of loses that special sauce.
But I also think just as far as movies about artificial intelligence usually go one of two ways.
Right, yeah.
And it went that one way. And it was like, yeah, that was inevitable.
Okay.
It was good, though. It's definitely a good watch. It has a lot of interesting questions about artificial intelligence and about relationships and about information and how information is used, how information is gathered. I thought it was fun. It's not a laugh and a half, because there was no laughing in that movie. But it was, no, you know what? Actually, I'd take that back. There were a few weird moments. Like there's like this weird improv dance scene. Like there's some kind of quirky stuff in that movie.
Okay.
And I would say Oscar Isaac's performance is a little comedic because he kind of comes off as this really pretentious like D-bag guy, and he's also an alcoholic, but he's also like, yeah, bro, we're gonna be best friends here, bro.
Yeah,
it's a fun performance. So yeah, it's a good movie. It's a laugh, a little bit of a laugh.
All right,
it's a good movie. Then I saw Birdman.
Yeah,
I actually downloaded like 28 movies just on a whim. Just a lot of movies I had in my backlog.
Do you remember the post-colon Birdman title?
It's something, the ignorance, the virtue of ignorance.
Is it like the unexpected virtue?
Unexpected virtue of ignorance.
Something like that?
Yeah. And that was like the title of the article at the very end as well.
Yeah.
I can try to find it. Birdman.
While you talk about it, I'll find it.
Sure, okay. So, yeah, that was a movie I knew I would enjoy, and I heard so much about it being one take. And that was really impressive. Just not even talking about all the themes and the ideas that the movie presents, just how it was shot and edited together in one take. Like, I kept trying to find where they were stopping. And there were certain parts where it's sort of a time lapse. You're like, okay, that's obviously where they, cut. But there are some moments where I'm like, man, I can't tell. I really couldn't.
Yeah, there's a lot where when they kind of walk from a room to another room, if there's just a split second of door frame or anything, that's a cut. Yeah. But it looks so good. It's pretty seamless in a way. And I know it's something that a lot of movies are doing these days. I feel, and maybe people just weren't paying attention so much, but after True Detective did that one long thing, then it was like Gravity had a super long unedited open. But and then like The Revenant had a super long unedited piece. And there's just a bunch of...
It's weird because like the most famous ones I think about are Goodfellas, that scene in the restaurant, and then Children of Men. And that was more kind of handy-cam, but that was a great sequence. Yeah. Just long cuts. It's weird how in kind of certain things, even though there's precursors, like there's certain things that grab the general audience. Because like, I don't remember hearing anything about Children of Men on the hard line. Now, I probably wasn't listening back then, but it seemed like when they talked about True Detective, oh my God, no one's ever done this before. This is amazing. That might just be superlative.
Just some sort of a big spike in recognition.
Yeah.
And also, there's articles posted about it where when you're watching, maybe you don't necessarily notice as much.
Yeah.
But like when you're in a world where it's not necessarily newspaper column inches that you can read, and you can post whatever you want about anything, and you can do full articles about one tweet or whatever. You can say, hey, let's talk about that really awesome shot. And it's not necessarily at a place in the way we consume media, where you watch it and then you go to breakdowns,
Yeah,
whether
you
it's
could-
written or video breakdowns or whatever else.
You could be consumed just by one thing for days
Uh-huh.
in a movie, whereas, you didn't have that back maybe 20 years ago.
How did you feel about the performances in the movie?
All right, so let me kind of go through it. So it felt like a play, which is kind of cool because the whole thing was him trying to put on a play.
Yep.
It felt, because there's some times in movies where like someone will get a Best Actor nomination, or they say this is a great performance, and you're like, is it a great performance or is it edited well? Did they just put good music to it? Like, I don't know if this performance is really great.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool about this is it's like a play where it stays on the performances, and the only really music you get is that jazzy drums in the background.
Yep.
And so it stays with the characters, it stays with the performances. So yeah, like the performances were amazing because they were actually acting. It wasn't a lot of cuts and a lot of music swelling and, very nicely cut lines and nicely chosen takes and stuff like that. No, it was, there definitely were different takes. I know they did do different takes,
right,
edited them together, but it was very well done. Their performances were amazing. I thought, what's the main guy's name?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was great. Do you know who Bruce Levine is?
I know the name. I've never seen him.
He reminded me so much of Bruce Levine.
Yeah.
I feel like, it was weird how he kind of reminded me of Bruce Levine.
He was just going to bust out talking hockey any second.
Yeah, just bust out any second. He was great in it, and I thought the whole thing of, the whole him of being Batman in the 90s was interesting. Yeah. Interesting take. Even though I think Batman's a lot more mature than Birdman. I think Batman's a better, more sophisticated property.
Well, yeah. This is probably as much of any movie that we've talked about the most. Films. Where it's like, hey, art is what we need to go for, not all that freaking trash.
The thing is, though, man, we can get into it. Like, this could be a whole freaking topic.
I think it does it well.
It does. But it also it's kind of making fun of him, like him wanting to do theater and that whole pretentiousness of wanting to be an artist.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you made billions of dollars. You could have made another movie. What is so wrong about that? I mean, what are you doing here? You're trying to be an artist? No one, and even Emma Stone was like, no one cares. Like, I thought that was the most interesting, and it kind of relates to like me and you and what we're doing here, and what it's like, we're all trying to be relevant in some way. Everybody is. Well, most everybody is. We're all trying to make something and send it out there and hope it does well. But the reality is no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. You're nobody.
Yeah.
No matter how much of an artist you think you are, no one gives a shit. Unless they like it. And if they like it, they don't care about you. They just care about the product.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything you do means nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was interesting.
Definitely.
Because it's definitely, it relates to everything. It relates to him, like his whole thing with, he thought that stuff was trite. He doesn't want to be a superhero anymore.
Right.
This is not art. He wants to be an artist. But people didn't give a shit. People don't give a shit that he wants to be an artist. People don't give a shit about him. People don't give a shit about this play. And then all these theater people don't give a shit about him because he's this Hollywood guy trampling on what they do. And then the whole thing about film criticism or theater criticism where the critics like, I'm not even going to review your, I'm not even going to watch it. Who cares? I'm going to give it a bad review because you're what's wrong with acting. Yeah.
How did you feel about the end?
The end? Okay, I think I'm starting to kind of...
The end, he just like becomes a bird and flies away.
It almost was like, it was either like a fantasy he had or it was just something that was trying to be metaphorical.
There's a lot of like hints at things being in somewhat off. When you first come to him, he's floating, right?
Yeah.
He's meditating and floating, and then as it goes through, I'm trying to remember some. Well,
there's certain things where he kind of has like telekinetic powers,
right?
And, then he gets the voices in his head, and then that scene where he's kind of flying, and then someone's like, "What are you doing? Filming a movie? Or are you going to kill yourself?" He's like, "I'm filming a movie."
Yeah.
So there are some hints about what's going on. I think a lot of it's, I don't know. It's done in a weird way where it's not giving you any rules to it, because they're, like where they're like, what are you doing? And he's just standing there. A normal movie would have just been him going away or because he flies off and then the person's like, oh, what are you doing? And so I don't know. It's a lot of it seemed like it was fantasy. Some of it seemed like it was real. Because when he flies down and then when he flies down and goes to the theater and the cab driver comes and says, hey, you didn't pay. And it kind of makes you think that it's all in his head.
Right.
So I think it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
But I think the ending was more metaphorical than it was something happening.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you believe that Michael Keaton didn't win the Oscar?
Yeah. Oh, who won that year?
I'll have to look it up. I know Birdman won.
Yeah, won
best picture, best director, best screenplay, cinematography.
He. I don't know who won. It might have.
Let me look.
That was a great performance. Like that should have won, because that was like, yeah, that was incredible. The way he was so like human.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Eddie Redmayne won it.
For I know, for
The Theory of Everything.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking. That was one that I was furious about.
Fake what's the John Blake, fake John Blake, Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, and then Edward Norton I thought was great.
Edward Norton's great in everything, and I'm wondering if he was playing himself because I've heard he's hard to work with.
Yeah.
And Edward Norton's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he's great.
He was really good as that kind of really pretentious, actor guy. And I love the scene where they're in the bar and he's like, no one knows who you are here. I'm the king of the city. And then the family comes up to him. They're like, hey, can we get a picture? And yeah, sure. And hey, can you take the picture of us? And I thought that was a fun scene. Edward Norton was amazing in it. Emma Stone was amazing in it.
Zach Galifianakis is pretty good.
Zach Galifianakis is playing like just a dude, just a regular guy in it. It was really good. It was well done. It felt like a really cool movie throughout. Like it never felt slow. There's never a slow scene, and it helped with that sort of that kind of jazzy, drums in the background, and didn't never feel like it was slow. It felt perfect. It was a great movie.
Yeah, that was a movie when I walked out. I was like, yeah, that's an Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Hands down. And I'll go to bat for this movie against whatever else, no matter what I see. I feel like it hits all the notes that I want a movie to hit.
And it's interesting, because I always like to, even though I think we will have a big discussion about the Academy Awards once that comes up. I always feel like the Academy Awards, the Best Picture winner, is sort of a screenshot of what was going on maybe in culture that year, or like,
oh yeah, definitely.
And I feel it's interesting, like with this movie having to do with like the superhero boom, like all these superhero, and it's sort of a statement on superhero movies. I thought that's interesting, sort of a little interesting picture frame of what's going on in our culture these days.
I think I could easily picture how that is going to be like introduced in a film school class 20 or 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And say, okay, so this is what was going on at the time, and this is what reflects how things were at the moment.
Yeah. That would be it'd be really cool to look at that 20 years from now and kind of see it for what it is, like the whole picture of it all. Yeah. They're very cool.
What else did you watch?
Those are the two movies. I downloaded a whole bunch of movies like Interstellar, and I think I'm going to try to watch Schindler's List for the movie. Like, because I feel like that's like a movie that's been on my list of movies that like everyone's seen and everyone needs to see that I have not seen. Okay. So I'm going to try to watch that before year's end. I have Network on there. I downloaded a whole bunch of just movies I've missed, superhero movies. Whiplash is on there. I should have just brought my computer in. But there's a whole bunch of movies in there that I'm going to try to watch.
Nice. Well, you'll keep us updated.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What have you been watching?
Oh, let's see. So my continued watch through Breaking Bad marches on. Halfway through season 4 now, so I just hit the I'm the one who knocks speech, which is so good. Also, it happens in the first 5 minutes of an episode, which feels really weird because it feels like a big like final moment speech of an episode, and it's happening while the credits are like rolling. under it where it's like guest starring RJ Mitty. And
I saw that video that was posted with Aaron with Austin trying to be RJ Mitty. It was terrible. There's a picture I saw it on Facebook. There was some thing with Austin. I think it was, man, I don't know who else it was, but it was one of your friends. And he's doing a RJ Mitty impression.
Is it when he calls her a bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We don't need to. Anyway.
Yeah, so that happened. I watched Akira.
Oh, did you?
The movie that Trey gave me. I had it all ready to go next to the door, and I forgot to bring it in to give it back to you.
All right.
I will give it back to you. So let's talk Akira a little bit.
What'd you think?
Okay. I like the feel of it. I'm not sure how cohesive it is as a movie, and I'm not sure. I watched it, full disclosure, I watched it starting at like 1:30 in the morning, and so I was awake the whole time, but I feel there's a lot of, I feel like I know everything that happened, but I'm not necessarily sure what like how they all fit. Like, I don't understand the terrorist attacks.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is unclear, which I'm kind of with you, and I think maybe I benefited from kind of watching it, kind of distracted, like we were talking about, where I kind of just put that up to maybe I was distracted, because the second time I watched it, I was watching with a friend, and he had a lot of questions. Like, yeah, maybe a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense.
Right.
But no, I think the feel definitely is there. I think that's what got me more than because there were definitely parts where I'm like, okay, who's this character? Wait, what's the first? I remember the first half being kind of confused what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think for me, though, is I'll do a lot of research afterwards, and that will kind of fill in the blanks. And so I maybe have more of a, after a while, it sinks in more. At least to me it did. So I guess I accepted a little bit more than maybe just the first viewing of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, why does he change the way he looks like halfway through?
Like the
Tetsuya
with the cape and all that.
Right.
The hair.
So when he becomes the dude with the cape, his hair is longer and it is darker.
I'm guessing it seemed like more of a stylistic thing. It seemed like they were trying to make him more super villainy. Right. And he kind of had the Vegeta hair going on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was more of a just a look thing than anything else. Like, he was getting telekinetic powers, so like the energy is going. Yeah. So his hair's sticking up
through
and it's
his hair,
flowing. Like a Super Saiyan kind of.
Okay.
I assume.
I guess that makes sense, because for a while, Canada.
Yeah, Kaneda.
He like disappears for a while, and I was like, did they like fuse or something? Because it's kind of looks like his hair mixed with the other guy's hair.
They all kind of look similar, in a way, like they're drawn. Even Kaneda and the girl, there are a few times where you couldn't really tell them apart.
Yeah.
It was a little confusing. Because he does disappear, and at first you didn't really know who the main characters were. I thought too.
Yeah.
It was kind of tough to tell who everybody was, because they all kind of were similar, and they're all kind of wearing jackets on bikes.
Yep.
And it took me a while to be like, okay, wait a minute, who was the what happened with the bike? He crashed into the kid, and
right.
There are some things that I think could be cleared up in today's. If they did this again today,
if they did it again, it would be laid out a lot more plainly. There's also weird, almost like dips to commercials in it.
Yeah.
Not that it goes to actual commercials, but the way it like transitions in between scenes, they'll go and they'll just drop fade to black, and then fade up to a different scene, and just time has passed or whatever, which I don't necessarily
might be a Funimation thing.
It could be.
Because they aired that on Adult Swim and stuff like that, so it might just be a Funimation thing.
Okay.
I don't know for a fact, though.
Okay, and then there's a weird like tension between Kaneda and Tetsuya, where they're friends.
Yes.
And that's why he's fighting to kind of like save him.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also like, you always try to. I'm like a little guy.
They didn't really do a they did it at the very beginning. The second time I watched through, I noticed there are a few lines at the beginning where Kaneda's like, man, I got it covered, and Tetsuo's like, man, one day I'm gonna show you.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like a big brother, little brother thing going on,
right.
where Tetsuo is sort of the little runt, and he's not really given the respect by Tetsuo, who's the big brother, and but Tetsuo's just trying to be a big brother, and they're all kind of disturb yous in general, like they're kind of bad dudes,
right?
So
they're a biker gang.
Yeah, they weren't the nicest group of people, but like, so there was a little more just maybe angst or testosterone fuel stuff going on there, but I think it was just sort of a big brother, little brother thing going on.
And then they went to school and they acted up, and then the teacher slapped them and they bled.
Yeah,
just blood flew out of there.
Threw up blood and stuff.
Blood all over this movie. There's a lot of blood. There's awesome parts to it.
Yes.
Like the hospital scene is so good.
Yes,
where
I love that so much.
Yeah. And
the second half of that movie is perfect. Or the ending is a little weird. And there's a lot of broken English and a lot of weird, like where they're like, someday we're going to,
right.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird
where
like
it's obviously supposed to be like a very like profound thing, but it's just broken English.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense at the very end.
I think the hospital until the body horror part is borderline perfect. Just the action scenes.
I think it's I think it's really solid.
I think though a lot of stuff is lost in translation. I think also
definitely
it's being it's being adapted from a manga that's supposed to be humongous.
Right. Okay.
And it's the first half of the manga, which is like massive. And so I think there's a lot of stuff kind of missing
that just
from
gets
it.
Dropped.
Yeah. Like, that weird shaman dude.
Yes.
He is actually, it's a she, and she, in the manga it's a she, and she's supposed to play like a really big role and everything. But they just cut it out.
Just couldn't have time.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kind of things like that. Like the ending is totally different too in the manga.
Okay.
Like, cuz it's supposed to be more of Tetsuo's still around. Just Akira is summoned or reincarnated more than Tetsuo, and goes and creates his own universe somewhere. Right. It's supposed to keep going on.
Okay.
I see what you're saying. I think I really like the feel of it and a lot of the action of it, and the kind of the relationship between the two friends, and the one friend becomes a monster, and the other friend has to destroy him and stuff like that. I think I like that kind of story. Yeah. So, but anything else I guess you had questions about, or?
Not so much questions. I have a few. Well, no. Here's a question. Why does Akira everyone else is kind of drawn, like people.
Yeah.
Akira looks like how an American would draw a Japanese person.
It's a little weird. Yeah, he's a little.
It's just like, huh. Well,
those eyes
all
are
these
very.
All these people are Japanese, and yet this one's the only one. At the very end, you bring in this guy, and you're making me question this stuff.
They all kind of look Japanese. It's weird. It's a whole, and it's also kind of that weird. It's sort of an American how we see things. When we see a cartoon of a Japanese person, we expect it to be a little more racially insensitive, I'd say. And then we see I don't know about that, but I think when we watch an anime, we expect to see more Japanese features how we would see it.
Yeah.
Whereas they're just drawing a person how they see it.
Right.
And so it's just going to look like a regular. Am I making sense? Or
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it, and it was kind of like that the whole way. And then Akira comes in and he's drawn like a Japanese boy.
Yeah.
I was like,
very squinty eyes. Yes.
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 And then, let's see. Speaking of the hospital scene, I went back and watched the Kanye West Stronger video, and it's just straight up the hospital scene.
It's the hospital scene,
which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then so go
no.
if you have a
Keep going,
question,
no, keep going.
because I'm kind of gonna divert a little bit.
Okay. Oh, okay. So what did you think of the final battle between? What did you think of that battle with the whole all the body horror stuff? Do you think that was like too much, or did you think that was cool? Or
I wouldn't necessarily say it was cool.
Yeah, you didn't.
I don't know. I
because I feel like I like it, but I could see how someone would say that's like just too much or too overboard.
No, I think it fits in the world.
Mhm.
I didn't when it happened. I wasn't like, "Wow, this rules."
Yeah,
But
I'm wondering how they animated that.
yeah.
be
Oh no,
honest.
it's a lot of stuff going on.
But
Yeah. So the other thing, I went and I saw a movie today, and there was a trailer for a movie, an anime movie that's coming out.
Mhm.
It's going to be released in theaters to a certain extent, and it starts 3 days before the 2020 Olympics.
yeah.
And there's some sort of apocalyptic event.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's like a Japanese thing or if it's specifically referencing Akira. It's not
Well, the
necessarily
2020
do-
Olympics is happening.
right.
And I mentioned that. Actually, I mentioned that on a last podcast.
Right,
I said
I know, that's what I'm
2039. I didn't say 2020. Yeah. What movie was it? Maybe
It's something.
Where did you see it?
It was at the Angelica. It was Princess
Mononoke?
something.
Oh.
I don't think so. I think it was like a princess and then another noun.
Mm-hmm. Was it like a upcoming movie?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, or at least that was my impression. I don't think it was a re-release. But you guys, be on the lookout for something bad happening in 2020 at the Olympics.
Well, I think both of those things have a lot to do with Japanese culture, and that's why that's a very Japanese movie because, first of all, it has a lot to do with the nuclear war.
Right.
And also, the Olympics was in Japan in 1960. What? It was like in the 1960s or 70s. It was in Japan. The Olympics was, and that was a big deal for them because that was like their first. And I'm probably butchering this. This is, I'm not. I haven't
making a comeback from
World War II.
Yeah.
Being bombed to shit by
Right.
us. And also kind of it has to do with Japan kind of losing their culture because they're becoming more and more technology driven with, their economy is becoming massive and they're losing their history, their culture, and that there's a pretty decent analysis video of Akira that kind of goes into everything, what everything means.
Okay.
And it's like Earthling cinema. It's kind of a weird, like the guy's trying to be funny and it's kind of a really dumb premise, but it's a good video. It has good information in it.
Okay.
If you ever want to watch that, it kind of goes through it.
All right.
But yeah, it is a bit confusing when you watch it because a lot of the characters look similar. There are a few kind of plot points where you don't really necessarily know what's going on. Those Esper kids are weird.
Yeah.
I don't really get that. I mean, I get it, but I didn't like those characters. I don't like anime a lot because a lot of the characters are very wimpy or they're very hot-headed. They always kind of fall into a certain stereotype, which I don't care for.
Right.
And those Esper kids kind of fell into one of those stereotypes of just, okay, they're these all-knowing little shits, and they just know everything. They're gonna be little bitches to our hero.
Right.
We want to see. They're talking shit to Tetsuo. I didn't like that. Like, let that kid be, man. He's
early in the movie, it was kind of like, oh, this guy can like see into the future, and this
Yeah.
guy can do this, and they all kind of have. And I was like, okay, so they're all gonna have their own things, and this one's 26, so that means there's 25 others or whatever else. And then they were all just kind of the same.
Yeah.
It ended up, and I was like, oh, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, and they all kind of, I don't know. They were very. They didn't really. They're kind of just there. I always forget the word, but they weren't really moving the plot along at all.
Right.
They were kind of just there to tell everyone, hey, this is probably gonna blow up.
Yeah.
In a bit.
Yep.
And they didn't really do anything to stop it or help it, or just they kind of felt like they were just there.
Yeah. I feel like on a second watch, I would be able to have a better grasp.
Sure. I think it's
everything
always
going on.
better, and then kind of research it. Which maybe that's an argument. Like, should a movie be should everything be laid out in a movie where you get the whole story and maybe there's a little bit of question, but you get it? Or should a movie have more subtext where you have to go research it and then have a better appreciation for it?
I think there's a certain level of subtext that's great. Like, I think, just a current example, Get Out.
Yeah.
Where you can go back and rewatch that movie and get a whole lot more of the hints, the breadcrumbs that they dropped along the way once you know what the reveal is. But when there's a lot of stuff kind of going on that you need to know the ending to go back to the beginning and watch to figure out what happened and why, that's when it becomes an issue, I would say. And sometimes finding that right balance can be difficult, I'm sure. Let's see. So I also saw Ingrid Goes West.
Okay. And that's a movie that I saw the trailer for. I thought that's interesting. It's an interesting concept because, I listen to a lot of podcasts, watch a lot of YouTube videos. You know, you see, and you do too. You see these people blow up on YouTube, Instagram, wherever. Even just people who just post their daily lives. And it would be so easy to stalk someone today.
Yeah, so
like, now you don't have to be. I'm sorry, you don't. I apologize.
You're fine.
It doesn't have to be a King of Comedy thing where you're just a psychopath and you're putting pictures on walls and you got things connecting.
Right.
All you got to do is go on someone's Instagram. Oh, they're at this pizza place. Oh, it's right across the street. I'll go there.
Right.
It's so easy. Anyway, go on with the movie.
Yeah. So the plot, if you're not familiar with it, it's starring Aubrey Plaza, who is just this emotionally disturbed girl who...
That sounds like a departure for her, character-wise.
Yeah, she's a really stretching her range.
Yeah.
And she basically just finds girls on Instagram that she becomes obsessed with. And the movie starts with, like, the ending of one obsession, and then she goes into a psych ward and then comes out, and then she finds a new one, and she moves out to California and to stalk this girl, basically, just because she wants her life. This girl who's posting things on Instagram, Elizabeth Olsen is the girl from Wind River.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good tie-in.
So
you could
I saw
be the host of this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, you are a host.
I am.
Yeah.
But I like the movie for what it is. There's problems.
Is it tonally off? Because it seemed like it would... Okay.
I don't think so. I think some of it is kind of like a person, like an older person, trying to be like,
oh, yeah,
this is how social media works, right? But that's only in a very small bit at the beginning, I think. So she'll go and she like sees that this girl has a dog, and then sees that they're out of town. So or not out of town, but out doing something else, and she goes and she steals the dog, and then returns the dog to them and becomes friends, and they have the same bag, so they bond over that, and she got her hair cut at the same place. So it's kind of a social media warning tale.
Is the girl sort of like a iJustine kind of popular Instagram or YouTuber?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the idea, is that she has some article written about her for being a social media influencer and
influencer.
Yeah, that's the
term.
word.
That's the term today. The influencers.
Yep. And so and it's just kind of her.
We're influencers, Adam. You know that?
We are. I am not. You.
No, you're
more
influencer.
of an yeah, you're more of an influencer than me.
I don't think so.
100%. You get action on them tweets, boy.
Barely. You go.
But yeah, in general, I would say my biggest critique of the movie is that no one really learns any lessons.
Yeah.
At the end, it's not like the girl who posts is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe oversharing's a bad thing. and then Aubrey Plaza doesn't really learn her lesson either. I won't go into how it ends, but it ends with her in satisfied in a way that is like the opposite of what you want for her character.
Sure.
And but overall it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
O'Shea Jackson Jr., the Ice Cube's son,
His real son.
Yeah. He's in it and he's great.
Yeah.
I would say he's probably the standout in the movie overall. I liked him in Straight Outta Compton, but I was like, I mean, he's doing his dad's, and that whole movie is a jerk off to Ice Cube.
Sure.
And I would, honestly, if I was not Ice Cube or Dr. Dre, I would not necessarily be pleased with how I was portrayed in Straight Outta Compton.
Dr. Dre was portrayed very well in that movie.
Yep.
And I know people were really upset with how Eazy-E was portrayed, and and then how the lawyer was portrayed and all that. Yeah. Because people were like, man, Eazy-E had a lot more to do with those records than just being the vocal
than just
guy.
reading Ice Cube's raps and stuff. Yeah, but he's great in this movie, and I thought he got the job in Straight Outta Compton because he looked like his dad because he's his son. But I thought he was fine, and I didn't think he was particularly outstanding in Straight Outta Compton, but he was really good and really funny in this movie, and he was like a screenwriter who loved Batman, and he was her landlord, and he was just pretty funny and super charming and likable, which is a characteristic that Chris Pratt has, where even in small roles you can just be like, hey, this guy is super charming and likable.
You know who I got that from? Oh my god, Escape from New York. Kurt Russell's son.
Okay.
I saw him in an episode of what's it called, Black Mirror.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, this guy's like, this guy like seems like a guy I'd be friends with. Like he's a really good presence like that. Yeah.
And I think that's a really good sign for superstardom moving forward is that sort of
likability. I think people want to like people nowadays.
Yes.
We want to be their friend, this person seems like a cool person to hang out with. You don't want that pretentious actor anymore.
But it's not even necessarily the actor off the screen. If you can bring inherent likability to every character that you have, it makes you commit to the story more. It makes you feel what the filmmaker wants you to feel more. And so putting it out there, O'Shea Jackson Jr. is going to be in a lot of movies in the future.
Putting it out there?
I'm going to... Not that Straight Outta Compton was huge already.
What about Straight Outta Compton 2?
Back into Compton.
It's year 2054.
Straight Outta Compton 2. Are we there yet?
Friday edition. Next Friday. 2 Fridays ago. We're going to do the Friday joke.
More Fridays.
The movie looks interesting. I would like to see sort of a kind of maybe a more serious tone, like a Misery or King of Comedy,
right. That's kind of where I expected it to go, and it doesn't really go there, but I almost appreciate it more because of that, because it could have easily become The Circle, where it's, hey, this is, oh my God, this is the worst thing you can do is share stuff online. It's like, no, it's just like kind of creepy what you can do with knowledge of people, and there's
oversharing too. Like I'm very upfront about my life on social media and stuff like that, but I don't post where I'm going all the time. Not that people would ever try to, I'm not significant whatsoever.
Don't want to get mobbed.
But like, there are certain people some people I follow who are very open. They're like, hey, we're on 6th Street and whatever, and we're going to this restaurant right now, and we're here, and hey, and man, if I was a serial killer or someone weird, I could just go up there right now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a cautionary tale. It shouldn't, nothing should be saying this is bad whatsoever, but there should be cautionary tales.
Right.
Whatsoever.
I think the general theme from this is, it doesn't take the step to, hey, serial killers could get you, which is nice. But it is like, hey, this is creepy.
Yeah.
And maybe think about it. And I kind of appreciated it for that, because if it did go to the point where
like misery,
she was
clogging her.
Exactly. I would be like, I mean, that's not really what I want this movie to be. But I think it's really good at what it does. But yeah, there's not really any character growth by anyone at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of feels a little empty in that regard. But
I would like to see more movies with that premise, though.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they use social media well.
Okay.
In the movie, you see a lot of movies or TV shows where the kind of the
I'm on Facebook.
The idea is not really done, but I think social media use is done well.
Yeah.
In it. So there you go. That's what I watched.
Awesome. Well, we also watched another movie, the River Goes Wind, right?
Wind River.
Wind River, about all those Asian miners in Quebec, right? That's the one you saw, right? What were we talking about?
Wind River?
Oh yeah, Wind River. Yeah. And we saw that.
Yeah.
So give us a premise of Wind River.
Wind River. There's a girl running through the snow, and
Native American woman.
Yeah.
And it took place in Wyoming, correct?
Yes, on the Wind River Indian Reservation. And she dies. Jeremy Renner, Hunter. Hawkeye, who's playing Hawkeye, but with bullets instead of aiming real good with arrows. This time he aimed real good with bullets. And he find her, and they call in an FBI agent to figure it out. But there's nobody nearby because it's Wyoming. So they bring in Elizabeth Olsen, who is an FBI agent, and she's got to track down that killer.
She's got to get that killer, man. First of all, the setting was brutal.
Yeah.
You felt that cold, that just despair in that city or that town. They did a really good job of that. The Native American actor who played the father of the girl, he was great.
Yeah.
I never felt like I never felt. I think with Native American characters, you tend to maybe get a little overboard with. He just felt like a regular father. Like he didn't feel like it was trying to be. Oh, it was definitely a statement on how Native Americans are treated, but it never felt too ham-fisted, I would say.
Right.
He felt like it felt real.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
He was in Hell or High Water as well.
That was
he was really good in that movie too.
Yeah.
And I think he's a really good actor. Jeremy Renner. I don't really get Jeremy Renner.
He's just sort of an everyman, it seems like. He just kind of plays the everyman.
He's trying really hard to be Clint Eastwood in this movie.
Yeah. He's trying to be a badass guy.
Yeah, and he's like keeping his sentences short and
that could be the script though too.
No, that 100% is the script, but I think that's like the way he delivers things. I think he's trying to be a Clint Eastwood machismo.
I thought he was fine though. I didn't think it was
I didn't think
bad.
it was bad. And he's his daughter died in
a very extremely similar way. Yeah.
I did appreciate that's never found out. Sometimes I feel like it's too clean when so we're here, looking into this murder and it solved this entire string of murders and all these things that are wrong. No, it's just these are individual events, and but it allows him to it gives him a reason to get involved in the investigation because he connects as a guy who lost his daughter in a similar way.
I liked the dynamic between this sounds weird, but his son and his ex-wife, because I thought that was going to be a big thing because the son's like, this is my day. He's like, yeah, I know, we got to do this. I thought that was going to be a whole thing where he's going to have to spend time with his son.
Right.
But no, it was like they kind of just left it at that, which I appreciated. It wasn't the story. The story was about this murder.
Yep.
I really appreciated that. They didn't go too ham-fisted into all that trouble.
The movie is super brutal.
Yes, very brutal.
And you kind of get that from the very beginning when he's out. Jeremy Renner's job is he goes and hunts animals that kill
livestock
that people are using. And there's a shot very early on where he snipes a wolf and they stay on it.
Yeah.
And like just see it get hit and blown off its feet and stuff. And it was like, oh. And then later on when shots start flying, it's similarly brutal.
Bullets were very loud. I don't know if it was just the theater I was in, which I need to remind me to talk about that after we talk about this, because I went to a studio movie grill, and it kind of goes on our topic of movies, like where to watch them. Remind me, because I'll forget. But it seemed like it was very loud. It seemed like I couldn't hear a lot of the dialogue very well.
Oh,
and
interesting.
it may just because of my hearing, or it may just because of the theater I was in.
Okay. I didn't have those issues.
Okay.
So it may have been a theater thing.
Okay. It might have been the theater thing.
But the gunshots were very loud.
They were very loud. Definitely loud. And there was a lot of them. And because there's not a lot of violence throughout the movie until that last part. Or not violence, but like big gun shootouts like that.
There's the one in the drug den.
Okay, you're right. There is that scene. And yeah, that's pretty brutal.
That one was super. I mean, it was surprising to me. Like I was anticipating it, but when he comes out with a gun and shoots at her, that's the one where it's like it's loud.
Yes. Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
I got a full jump out of it.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I didn't fully expect that, and I was surprised that they gave you the whole story of what happened right in the middle.
That was really cool.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things to talk about this movie is they did their flashback at a very interesting and cool time.
Yeah, like right where you're meeting these people who are kind of suspicious, then they just show you. And I like, too, that that whole story wasn't really given to the FBI girl or anyone else. It was just, this is what happened. Now they're kind of having to, it's not going to be clear to them, but it's clear to you.
Yeah, now you understand what happened. You know what they don't.
Yeah, and right when you saw Shane from Walking Dead, did you think, oh, God, he's going to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah, I figured he was going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, it's Shane from Walking Dead. He's going to up to no good. Yeah.
Especially, and I think they did that on purpose because when they find his body, they never show you his face or anything.
Yeah.
It's just he's awesome. John Barenthal.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything particularly great.
No, but he was serviceable for what he did. What his role was. Yeah.
What was that one guy's name that he kept asking to pull him away? I'm trying to remember. He says it 1,000 times.
I forgot. But the main dude.
Yeah, he's like, James, can you get a hold of him?
Yeah.
It's like, man, that guy's mean.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to help. All those guys were mean.
They're a bunch of mean friends.
There's also something that I didn't really quite understand. When the policeman guy is like, you didn't see it to her kind of before that final shootout. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what necessarily he was talking about there.
I didn't understand that either. I thought maybe he saw Jeremy Renner, or I don't know.
Or was that them like flanking them as they were kind of walking towards the trailer? He saw,
because I didn't know who was who either.
Right. Because they were all wearing the same similar jackets.
So I didn't know who was flanking who.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little confusing. I didn't know that either. I'm like, oh, okay, wait, what was he talking about? Did you see it? You didn't see it. I didn't know what he said at all. Or what that meant at all.
Right.
Anyway, though, I'm trying to just think of different beats from the movie. It was very brutal. Like, man, living there must be hell. And they're forced to live there, right? I mean, why are they forced to live there, I guess?
I think it's because it's a reservation, they get some sort of tax breaks or something from it. Because I don't really understand Indian reservations.
I don't either.
And what it is that they can do there that they can't other places. I don't know.
Maybe we could
Casinos.
get someone who knows history and stuff like that to write us and let us know. Because I mean, I think just us privileged, white boys from Plano, Dallas, Texas are saying, just get up and move, man. Just move.
Right.
Just fucking move.
Yeah,
Who
it's
cares?
just it's not that easy.
No, it's tough. And you're, culturally it's probably tough. You're there with your family and people and then a lot of different things. It's probably your spiritual grounds or so. Yeah, it was interesting to kind of. It was very brutal and sort of. Man, like when they took out the whole police force, like, man, they're gonna have to hire a whole new police force. Like, who even what's the population there?
No.
It seems like no one lives there.
The devs are pretty brutal in the sense, not even the shootout ones, but when they describe what happens when you breathe air cold enough, and then the fluid in your lungs freeze. And so your lungs are frozen, and then they explode because they're frozen, and then you just bleed out. That's pretty.
I thought there were a lot of cool shots.
Brutal.
I thought it was shot really well.
Yeah.
Especially with that snow, and just I really like mountains and snow shots.
Yeah.
Just sort of it's almost like a desert, just the vastness of it.
Right.
I thought the ending. I thought it was satisfying, but anytime there's an ending like that, I'm always curious about legal ramifications.
Okay, for Jeremy Renner?
Yes.
I think the idea is that he did it outside of the law, and they're not gonna look into it.
I assume that, but you always gotta have in the back of your head, well, what if they do find out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I get it, it's supposed to be cathartic, but just in the back of my mind, it's always that analytical side, like, wait a minute. What happens if someone, goes up there and...
Right.
Oh.
Also, as far as it being shot in snow, one of the things that always is interesting to me is that, all the tracks, you don't see tracks ever necessarily being a mistake. So it's kind of cool. This is the first time that they're ever walking through this. And also the people who had to run through the snow barefoot ran through the snow barefoot. Does not seem like fun.
No, it does not. The statistic at the very end about Native American going missing, I didn't even... why are they not reported? Is that
I think it's just not a separate classification. I think it is reported.
Yeah.
There's just no way. This is. I could be totally wrong here. They're reported, but you can't compare it versus the general population.
It's so small.
To where you can see how high the rate of Native American girls who just disappear and are never heard from again. You can't really tell what a big epidemic it is, if it is.
Yeah.
I guess the whole point of the story is that, it kind of is, and nobody's talking about it. And so I guess it can't really be addressed if it's an unknown problem, I guess.
Sure. Great movie. Well acted, well shot.
Yeah. I think that's a solid summer movie.
Yeah.
That hey, why not go see it?
Yeah. It's really good. I could see it being number 9 nomination at the Oscars or something, They do that now. Number 9's always some kind of obscure movie that came out. They had Room or I remember they had one year they had District 9 nominated.
Right.
Yeah, so I could see that being up there as a surprise.
I wouldn't necessarily think that Best Picture, but I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a nomination,
an acting nom
somewhere
maybe
where it gets one.
I could see the Native American dude being nominated.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe
I could see him being nominated for something. That's good. Yeah.
No one's watching movies anymore.
No one's watching movies.
The headline: Movie theater chain stocks collapse during dismal summer.
Oh no!
Regal Entertainment has seen shares plunge 28%, while AMC Entertainment dropped a dramatic...
Oh, what was that again?
Regal Entertainment has seen shares plunge 28%,
Mm-hmm.
while AMC Entertainment has dropped 45%.
Where does Cinemark fall in all this? What is Cinemark?
I don't know.
Okay.
Cinemark dropped 18%. There you go. And so, let's see. When final third quarter numbers come out, Barton Crockett predicts a domestic box office of $2.36 billion, which would be a 21% slide compared to last year.
What about, is it a slide year to year to year?
It has been.
Okay.
I think there was 1 year a few years ago where it ticked up, and people were like, oh, let's see. And then it went right back to sliding. So you know what that means? According to...
All these movies suck. We need to make the next, I don't know, what's a cool movie from the 80s?
Yeah, exactly.
Ghostbusters 5.
We're bringing back Back to the Future.
Back to the Future with all-female casts.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what they're saying, is it means there's going to be a lot more reboots, there's going to be a lot more sequels, and you're just going to see a whole lot more of that.
But isn't that what the issue is? That, like, these movies obviously aren't working, and so...
But the ones that are working...
Are the sequels?
The ones that are making the money.
But didn't Baby Driver make a ton of money, comparatively?
Yeah, I think it made 9 figs.
Yeah.
Which... Yeah,
and I'm not saying all female cast idea is bad. I'm just saying I think when it's done to reboot something that doesn't need to be rebooted, just to give it a reason to reboot it's kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do an all female cast, it's awesome. I'd like to see an all female Mad Max. Well, they kind of already did that. Actually, never mind.
Well, they're making a Furiosa.
Yeah,
movie.
Furiosa movie would be great.
Yeah,
that makes sense because Furiosa was the best character in that movie.
Yeah,
so, yeah. Always gotta make sure my statements sound correct or whatever.
So when I say all female Ocean's 11,
I say that's a stupid idea.
Oh
baby, because do we need another Ocean's movie? But it's just a heist movie. But so who really cares?
I mean, it's generally
that actually kind of makes more sense.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, okay, so Logan Lucky is a heist movie.
Yeah.
If we give it the Ocean's 11 title,
you could have just put Oceans on there, and
right?
Then I guess, and that's a whole nother branding thing. I guess that's a whole branding idea of it's sort of what Nintendo does, to bring it to video games. They'll make a cool idea, but then they'll put Mario in it or Star Fox in it. Like Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube was not supposed to be a Star Fox game. It was just Dinosaur Adventures, but they slapped Star Fox in it. And I think that hurts more than helps, because when you put that branding on it, you kind of expect it to be part of that brand, and when it's not as good,
all it does is dilute the brand.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm fine with an Oceans like movie. I mean, I don't really care either. I'm not like the biggest Oceans fan,
right?
But I don't know. I just think it's the whole thing of just make new ideas. You don't need to retread old things unless there's a reason to. But I also kind of I like that Mad Max is more of a name than it is it's like a brand more than it is a character, because he kind of, every movie is different. He goes on different adventures in every movie. So I dig that, and if you want to do stuff in that world, that's pretty cool. But just making like Ghostbusters, another one with the same plot, but just trying to do something weird with it is just kind of dumb. Or New Point. They're talking about Lord of the Flies.
All-female Lord of the Flies.
Why don't you just make a movie like Lord of the Flies? Because there's been hundreds of movies taking that plot, like Lost. That's a show sort of like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Why don't you just take the plot and give it a unique spin, and then just make a movie that's not called Lord of the Flies?
Well, that's the thing, is they want the Lord of the Flies name. But I'm sure it'll be its own spin and its own thing, but it's going to be Lord of the Flies
with all female. I don't know what because isn't that sort of a movie about male masculinity and sort of how men are
children?
Yeah, but it's supposed to kind of be like how they. It's kind of takes the. It's sort of about like how men are like savages almost in a way.
I think it's more about the natural problems with building a society, I guess, and how you would recreate it if everything was gone.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably inherently male because our society was made by males, but I don't think that it's necessarily a like strong anti.
No, it's not
male
anti-male, but I always assumed it was sort of it devolved into hunter-gatherer kind of things where men are the hunters and they turn into savages of what they were. They turned back. They turned into animals, more animals, and that was sort of the point of that movie or that book, I guess, not a movie. I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to see what they do if they do kind of do okay, well, we're gonna take that idea and what if it is all female? And what do they turn into? What does that devolve into? Like, especially now, and and it sounds very, I don't know if this sounds sexist at all, but I think of like Mean Girls. What is that? What happens there? Is this more manipulative? Is this gonna be them backstabbing? Is this gonna be stuff like that? So, and I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of talking myself into this. Might be kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, it sounds great.
All right. Anyway, go on your.
So one of the things that they're talking about, because of the struggling theaters, studios may launch pay-per-view on demand.
Okay.
It's PVOD, where consumers get a movie on their TV screens for about $30 shortly after its release into theaters.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of this. $30 for, I mean, think about it. You see a movie $10 and you spend another $20 on popcorn and drinks. So
yep,
it kind of all adds up to $30 experience.
And you get to stay at home. What do you think about that?
I'm fine with it. I think there's always going to be a movie theater experience, even if it turns into sort of a, specialty theaters. Because I think people are always going to want to have that community. Like what we were talking about last week, where, you go and see a movie with a whole bunch of people. It's like sporting events, I think. And Junior Miller talks about one day we're going to have a throwback sporting arena where it's wooden seats and there's no jumbotron and it's just bare bones, and you can watch a football game or a baseball game. I think everybody wants to go back and have that nostalgia. That's why record players are popular now.
I think it's far more likely that VR headset in stadium experience, and it'll be very similar to this movie thing, where you can go and you can experience the game, have courtside seats.
The only issue is the fidelity of those screens aren't up to that just now. But eventually it will.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm saying, 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah, I think so. Because I know with PSVR is the lower model, but I know people will do the view mode in there to play games, and it's not that great. But eventually it will improve, definitely. And yeah, I could see that as well, that happening where it's VR. Which is kind of scary, I guess. Think about it.
Some people also say that the drop in stock prices, it could be a positive thing, because now as the stocks are dropping and they've upgraded theaters to be the recliner seat dine-in experience, that will help buoy it to some extent. But I don't know. I just don't see more people going to the movies because they can sit in a recliner and order dinner.
And I'll kind of,
but that is additional revenue. If you can charge more for that experience and like guarantee that people buy, popcorn or full meals at a jacked up rate, then I mean that's probably a net win for theaters, I would think.
I could even say, banking on nostalgia, maybe start getting in some film projectors and airing like Jaws, or airing 80s and 90s movies, like how they were, originally aired. And and maybe even, I think they just re-released Close Encounters of a Third Kind, and like actually have a marketing budget towards it. Have hey, now released in all major theaters, we got I don't know,
E.T. 30th anniversary. They're doing that.
Yeah, well, but like have that wide release.
Yeah,
every theater has this, and we're playing it. This is like a new release. You get E.T. and this is on film, and this is how you remember when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
This is your theater experience when you were 5 years old going to see a movie. You got the same seats, you got the same popcorn, no recliners. You're gonna. It's just like you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they might have to bank on that, more nostalgia. And then bank on, like you're saying, the food, the
Mm-hmm.
drinks, the cool recliners, just like, and even getting to use your cell phone. I could see them. You're talking about that, and I thought that was a terrible idea, but I could definitely see that.
It's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I think probably in the long run, it's gonna drive more people
away
than it does, unless there's a interesting way to do a 2-screen experience thing. But even that's not why people are on their phones.
No.
It's not that they just can't put down their phones. They're doing other things
Mm-hmm.
and willfully distracting themselves.
Well, I'll go on a little tangent right here. Not a tangent, but so I went to see Wind River at
Studio Movie
Grill, and it just like what I was talking about last week. It was distracting as hell because the ladies walking around with all the with the food orders,
Mm-hmm.
and okay, well, all right, just moving around, and okay, the previews are starting, and she's getting right in front of me, and it's be polite, but it's just annoying. And then I think the most annoying part, well, first of all, the first minute of the movie was complete silence, I remember,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounded like a million cockroaches were just munching, and you could just hear the munch of food, and I'm like, oh God,
Yeah.
this is gross,
Uh-huh.
because it's just it's like 1,000 people. Ugh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And so you could just hear people eat, which is the worst noise.
Yeah.
Because people are disgusting.
They are.
If you've learned one thing about me, Adam, it's that I feel like people are disgusting.
I have learned that.
Mm-hmm. I hate people. I think they're disgusting. I relate to Daniel Plainview a lot from There Will Be Blood, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate most people.
All right.
So just know that about me.
Okay.
I'm probably going to kill you with a bowling pin by
Please.
the end of this podcast.
Please don't. And
Okay.
this milkshake is mine. Please.
No, I drank it.
No, I've been saving it right here.
I drank it up.
No, I just want to finish my milkshake.
You're a bastard in a basket.
I'm not gonna sip on it during the podcast.
Drainage, Eli. All right, I won't do that.
The other piece of news that I have.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. One more thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No. Well,
interrupt your
you
story
just
before you were done.
interrupted me, Adam. And if we're gonna
That's
make
what
this,
I just said.
Okay. I'm sorry. So
What I just said.
why I just say it? So they come back at around I think 30 minutes until the movie ends to hand the checks.
Right.
Well, that was the scene where they're giving the flashback.
Oh.
And it's really tense.
Uh-huh.
And she is handing out checks. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Just give me the thing. Okay. And I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And this lady 3 seats next to me has her phone out.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. No, she has her phone out and she has she's looking at the check. And I'm like, don't you know this is a very important part of the movie?
Yeah.
And you have your phone out with your light?
And it's always like that too, because they drop it off
Yes.
15 minutes before the end.
It's the climax of the
Yeah.
movie.
Yep.
And it's
every single time.
I was this close from saying something. I didn't, but I wanted to. I was like, you can do this after the movie's done.
Right.
You don't have to sign this right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's their idea. They want to give you as much time as possible to order more stuff,
Yes.
but also have you ready to go as soon as the movie ends.
Yeah.
And that generally means they're going to be their busiest right around the climax.
So that was annoying as hell.
And also, it sometimes takes me out of it when I get the check because I'm like, oh, this is near the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That too.
And sometimes when you get lost in it, it's like, how long is left? Is it 45 minutes? Is it 10, 15?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, 10 minutes
we're
left.
about done.
10 minutes left.
About done.
Okay.
Yeah. So that took me out.
The other piece of news that I have is Shia LaBeouf is not going to be in the next
Oh, I saw
Indiana
that.
Jones movie.
Oh, poor guy. Poor Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be the next Indy, and everything was looking up. And next thing you
then
know,
he talked shit about
it all crashes
Steven
down.
Spielberg. He did. He actually had an article of a year ago where he just ripped Steven Spielberg. He's like, it's more of a factory production than a movie shoot.
Uh-huh.
I could see that probably being true, where it's like he'll take only a few takes, and we're going next thing, don't care, going next thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's more of a factory kind of thing where it's more of a, I don't know. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so Indy 4 or
Indy
Indy
5.
5, yeah. What do you think the plot's going to be?
The treasure is knowledge.
Ooh. No, my thing is he's going to go back in time and kill Hitler.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what the whole plot is.
Well, I mean, he's been fighting Nazis
Yeah.
all along.
So he's going to go back in time, kill Hitler, but that's going to be right at the beginning of the movie.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to realize that he just changed everything. And he has to go meet old Indy. And so they're going to CGI old Indy. And he's like this kind of,
oh God,
yeah,
kill me.
And he's like this kind of begrudging, like, hey man, I don't really care about this treasure hunting thing anymore.
And
it's
then,
like,
he tries to fly a plane and he crashes.
Yeah, he's a really bad pilot and he loves snakes.
Uh-huh.
He loves snakes.
Okay.
And so it's this whole like weird thing. And old Indy's like, man, look, this isn't how it was, and don't worry about the time paradox at all. That old Indy's still alive. Don't worry about that. He's like, man, we need to fix this stuff, and so they get all the old gang back together, and they save the day with the aliens. The aliens come and help them revert time back. But at the very end, we realize that now every character is Shia LaBeouf.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the twist.
That would be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of that YouTube video. Who's that man? It's Shia LaBeouf. You seen that?
No, I have not.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's great fun.
Baby. There's also a news story that they want Leonardo DiCaprio to play the Joker in the new Joker film.
I feel like he's smarter than that.
He's too old, first of all, if they're going to do an origin film. Leo's like 40 now?
Yeah, but he's got that baby face.
He's a little old.
I don't know.
He's a little old.
Anyway, you got a list of movies?
So the year's coming to an end, or wrapping up, and
yeah, there's just 4 more months left.
Dude, this year's going by fast, man. And I'll tell you, man, we had some good movies out this. You're talking about how bad the box. I felt like this was a strong year for summer movies. You know,
I felt that way as well.
Yeah, it sucks because there's some good movies out this year, this summer. So anyway, and please let me know if I've missed anything on this list because I'm sure I have. Okay. But I wrote just sort of some movies that are going to be coming out towards the end of the year. Movies that I'm interested in, you're interested in. Mm-hmm. You might not be interested in a few of these, or just some big releases. So the closest one is It, coming out September 8th.
Yeah.
We'll probably watch that, right? I want to see. I'm interested. Did you ever watch the original It?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hear it's getting good preview reviews.
Yeah, Stephen King said he was surprised at how good it was.
Yeah. Well, he also hates The Shining.
Right. So Stephen King is, and he was a big fan of how The Dark Tower ended up. So
you take his word. Yeah, take it for what it is. Yeah. What he says. I'm interested to see how it is.
He's Scrooge McDucking this summer, so he doesn't care.
He doesn't care at all. He's getting all that bang. I think, was it Wes Craven had the best line? Was it Wes Craven? Who did Halloween? Not Wes Craven. Who did Halloween? The movie Halloween.
You have a phone.
Carpenter, John Carpenter. He had the best line. Someone asked him about, like, how do you feel about the Halloween reboots? He's like, I like him because that's I get a check every month.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, he's probably swimming in that gold. Then Mother comes out September 15th, which I'm interested in. I like Aronofsky.
Yeah. And Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. All three are
some
good.
Sort of thing. It's kind of shrouded in
mystery. Like
mystery about what it necessarily is.
He said like he's very vague on it. Like he's been very vague as well, Aronofsky. And then I don't know. Kingsman comes out September 22nd. I don't know if you're into that movie at all.
How did you like Kingsman?
I never saw the first one.
I watched. It was on at a party.
Yeah.
That I was at, and it looked very colorful. And that it was kind of tongue in cheek and fun. But that maybe I wouldn't. It looked a lot like Kick-Ass and a little bit different. And that's it was written by Mark Millar, those comics.
Okay.
Which is the same guy that did Kick-Ass.
Okay.
So I think it's sort of in that vein, not necessarily against them making more.
Okay. I didn't know if you're into that or not, so I just put it on the list. I don't know. I've not seen the first one. It doesn't look great. I don't know. Maybe I'll give the first one a shot. Battle of the Sexes comes out September 22nd.
That's Emma Stone and Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, yeah.
Doing the Billie Jean King story.
Biopic.
Yes.
Or someone once said, or I think it was either Nick or Craig Rosengarten said, what do you say?
Biopic?
Biopic, yeah. And
I think that's a thing that a lot of people say.
Really? Okay.
And I had never heard of it until a few years ago, and then I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that can't be right.
Biopic.
Yeah.
There's no way it's the word.
It looks like Steve Carell's going to be pretty funny in it. And it's basically, it was all a publicity stunt back when they did it. I'm interested in how because Billie Jean King's a big kind of feminist icon sort of thing, and Emma Stone's doing it. I'm interested. It's gotten a lot of buzz. I haven't been necessarily as interested in it as a lot of the outlets that I read.
It seems like an Oscar baity kind of movie, but it seems interesting. I'm not too familiar with the story, but I like those two actors, so yeah, I think.
Yeah. So generally the story Steve Carell's character, whose name is escaping me at the moment, challenges Billie Jean King to a tennis match, and she wins. Mm-hmm. And so, Battle of the Sexes.
Blade Runner 2049 comes out October 6th. And there was a article that it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, the movie is. Whew. That's longer than the first one.
Yeah.
So, man, that's a whoo. Danny Bayless said, I will not see that.
Well, I probably will.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm interested in it.
I'm interested too. And there was something last episode I think I was alluding to, but I didn't. The thing with Ghost in the Shell remake was that the world looked too glossy.
Okay.
It looked too pretty. It looked it didn't look as grungy or messy as maybe the anime. And that's the thing I worry about if they ever did an Akira movie, is that it would look pretty. It would look very sci-fi clean, whereas the movie makes it look more dirty, lived in. And Blade Runner, the first film, looked lived in. It looked dirty. It had neon. It was futuristic, but it looked dirty and just a nasty place to live. And from what we've seen in this movie, it looks very pretty, which I'm worried about. I'm really worried it's going to look too glossy and pretty and
I could totally
lights and
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Where it's not like the original, where it's kind of very obviously on a set.
Yes.
And very cramped and small.
It's going to be very, look at all this cool futuristic stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Big lady and a projector.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have this talking head conversation out on a ledge where we'll have all kinds of weird, wacky stuff going on and just show you how cool and creative we are.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about that. But hey, I'm excited, I guess. Yeah, I'm excited. The Foreigner comes out October 13th.
Jackie Chan.
Cool. Yeah, Jackie Chan.
Back at it again
with the Jackie Chan. Thor Ragnarok is coming out November 3rd.
Yeah.
And then another superhero movie, Justice League, November 17th. I don't know. I'm not really...
Wait, it's November 17th this year?
Yep. This year, Justice League.
I didn't... I guess I didn't realize how soon it was.
Pretty soon. They have a whole bunch of trailers out, and I love to make fun of Matt Birmingham because he's a humongous Batman guy, and he hates all this so much because he's a Batman purist.
Right.
And there's he hates that Batman has kind of turned into a joke, or it's turned into, he's not a detective. That's his thing, is that Batman is a detective. He's super smart, super intelligent. He knows every move. He's a detective, and there's a line in the trailer, and I remember when the trailer came out, Matt was like, there are 3 things that I hate about this trailer. And I'm like, I can guess what the first thing is. It's when the Flash says, "What's your superpower?" And he goes, "I'm rich."
Right. Yeah.
And it just seems like he's pissed off about that. Definitely, Matt Birmingham is. I don't know. It doesn't seem good. It just it seems like DC has just effed up that whole universe.
But Wonder Woman, it brought it back on course.
Wonder Woman wasn't that great.
I agree.
Nice. Yeah. So I think it's good, but I think it's good compared to all the other DC movies. You know, it's the best DC movie, but you know, not counting it's of the universe they're trying to make. It's the best DC movie,
Right?
But no, it's not. It's not a good universe. What they're doing right now, it's bad.
Agree.
Darkest Hour comes out November 22nd. That is the Churchill biography.
Okay, with Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, the biopic of Churchill, which should be interesting.
I went to a Churchill museum. He's a very interesting man.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that.
I always like to see, you know, larger than life, no pun intended, you know, interesting figures on screens.
Yeah, and he wasn't, and like Lincoln, even necessarily, he's basically, I mean, not to the same extent where Lincoln freed the slaves or whatever. Churchill led them through World War II, but he was also a super witty, funny.
It's very like
dude who like would
Truman.
drink and smoke a bunch.
Yeah, or Roosevelt. You know, like a Roosevelt kind of character, like a Harry Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Harry Truman, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah,
Teddy Roosevelt character. It seems like where he's just sort of like he has all these kind of crazy things about it, crazy stories about him.
Yeah.
Then The Disaster Artist, December 1st.
That's probably, if I had to name a movie that I'm most excited about upcoming, it's probably The Disaster Artist.
I would say movie that I like. I think Blade Runner might be my most anticipated, but as far as movie that I know I'm going to enjoy,
right,
it might be Disaster Artist.
Like I'm not under the illusion that it's going to be the best movie that I'm going to see between now and the end of the year, but it will probably be the only one that I see opening night. Like if there's a midnight showing, I'll probably be there. So
yeah. And then Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, December 15th. It's the last one I got on here.
Did you hear that there's going to be a bad BB-8 in the new movie?
A bad BB-8?
Yeah, it's BB-8 but bad.
Because we gotta sell more toys, right?
Yep.
You know that Star Wars is just created to sell toys.
Have you seen the little like owl thing?
The owl thing?
There's a picture of a little owl thing next to Chewbacca. And then I saw a picture of a entire wall filled with little owl thing coffee cups. And I was like, fucking kill me.
There's some really cool things about Star Wars, but man, there is some just shit about Star Wars.
Yep. Only 2 good movies.
Yeah, that's your claim.
Yep.
That's your claim. And we'll talk about that once that movie comes out, your claim. I kind of want to
2 for 9 right now.
2 for 9. Damn. And that's like the first 2 ever to come out as well, right?
Right.
Those are the only 2 good Star Wars movies.
20 years. 30 years since a good Star Wars movie?
Yeah, 70s. 78?
25.
Yeah.
Because 78 and 81? Maybe. Okay.
Do you have any more releases that you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the Pentagon Papers, which is
I forgot that.
The Spielberg movie, and I think that's around Christmas time.
Okay.
Phantom Thread is the one that you were talking about earlier, the Paul Thomas Anderson, Daniel Day-Lewis last movie.
Supposedly.
This is where he's going out. And that one to watch just for, the sake of...
P.T. Anderson, bro.
Paul Thomas Anderson and the Oscars.
Yeah.
It's going to be relevant around Oscars time, so I'm definitely going to see that. Downsizing is probably the one I'm most excited for that you haven't seen, and that's where Matt Damon gets shrunken down to about 8 inches tall to life. My big fear is that's going to be a very big like environmental save.
Yes. I hear you.
Like conservation thing. And I hope that's not.
Get your politics out of my movies, Hollywood.
Well, Pentagon Papers is going to be a ton of politics.
I know what you're saying. You want a movie with like a weird, cool concept, and then they put kind of politics, like,
and then they can have a message at the end. I just don't want it to be like
ham-fisted.
All
because that's what I felt about. I forgot the name, but it was the Alien movie with the Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, and there was an alien voiced by, I think it was Seth Rogen, and that was
it's just a name.
Yeah, it's just his name.
Paul,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Man, I was going in just like, it's going to be a fun stoner comedy, and it was an atheist message. Like, the whole thing was just ham-fisted, there is no God.
Right.
And I'm like, you can do this movie, but I wasn't really coming in for that.
Right.
It's cool that, you're doing it, but, man, I wasn't in that for that. Yeah. So I hear you. I hear you on that. Like, what you're getting into with some movies, and some movies it just sneaks up in. It's like, well, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. But yeah, I understand. Anything else?
I'm set now. We got Twitter questions.
Let's do these quick because we're going pretty long.
Yeah.
We like to talk about movies, Kat.
Sorry, guys. We watched a lot of movies this week.
We did watch a lot of movies, Kat. So you see, there's a lot of information to talk about.
Hey, look,
on a
we filled an entire show.
More than a show.
Yeah.
On this. So let's go through some of these questions. So at Matt Birmingham asks, "What's up?"
What's up, Matt?
Mm-hmm. Eli Jordan says, "Serious question: was Sega CD the worst game console of all time? Discuss." I texted Eli back saying, "This is the FilmsCast, not the GamesCast."
You texted him so you guys wouldn't appear to be feuding online.
No, actually, I said online.
Oh, so you put him on blast, so the whole world
on blast.
Oh, okay.
People are getting that mistake a lot.
Maybe having two podcasts with the exact same name was a bad idea.
It might have been a bad idea. Thinking about it, it might be a bad idea. It's too late though now, right?
Yeah,
it's way too late.
Never going back.
Never going back. What would we call it if we didn't call it the FilmsCast? You're the creative one here.
The Laugh and a Half Cast.
The Laugh and a Half Cast.
Baby.
Oh, it would be the Laugh and a Half. Oh, baby, let me tell you, cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that can be a real long mouthful.
Put it on a T-shirt. I think we're gonna have to put that on a T-shirt,
and it'll just like wrap around your entire body.
That will be the FilmsCast T-shirt. The GamesCast T-shirt will just be.
Yep.
Man, I feel bad for Austin. Sorry, man.
He doesn't listen.
No, of course he doesn't.
That's actually not true. He listened when he was on his road
he was.
trip.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, he did listen. And he had a lot of critiques.
Oh, interesting.
He did. Eli Jordan then asked, "Okay, is Chud awesome? Discuss."
Chud. That's the movie about the underground.
Yeah, the humanoid underground dwellers.
Yeah,
the cannibalistic human underground dwellers.
I can't say I've seen Chud.
I can't say I have either.
So yeah, it's awesome.
It must be great. I think the only time I've heard of it is in like references in Kevin Smith movies.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, baby. Right. Is the wizard? Hold on. This is by @andbutsomark. And but so Mark, I don't know. Maybe is that he says, "Is the wizard starring Fred Savage better than Lucas?" Have you ever seen the wizard?
I haven't seen the wizard. I have seen Lucas.
I've not seen Lucas.
Lucas is like a little small boy who wants to be on the football team.
Yeah, he gets bullied and picked on. And
I actually don't know if he actually wants to be.
I think Winona Ryder's in that, right?
Charlie Sheen's in it.
He's in there?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take Lucas.
You're gonna take Lucas. I remember kind of seeing the wizard.
I know that in Lucas, I'm pretty sure he insults a guy by saying that his like jock strap should be a Band-Aid and a contact lens, and I thought that was pretty funny when I saw it.
A Band-Aid and a contact lens.
Yeah, because he has a small penis. You see.
That's funny. I like that. @Crispy Ham asks, "Have you ever stopped watching a movie halfway through so you could get a popcorn kernel out of your teeth?"
No, I'm pretty efficient with my eating.
I don't like popcorn that much, so no.
Whoa!
I like popcorn, but after a while, it gets really bad.
Man.
Your mouth gets all popcorn mouth, and you got to get something to drink. And
I love it. It's part of it for me.
I like it. I have to do it when I go, but the aftertaste, it's like getting really drunk, and then you wake up the next morning going, "I'm never going to drink again."
Oh, yeah.
It's like that.
It's like, this pop. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a badge of honor, and sometimes it'll be in there for days, and then you just kind of like flick it with your tongue, just like, all day long, and it's kind of a comforting feeling.
Now, do you ever? Now, this could be a segment for another day, but do you ever put that little bunch of crunch in the popcorn and mix it all up?
I've done it before. It's not a go-to move for me because it's
salt in the.
I enjoy the salt and the chocolate. It's just like messy.
Sure.
And it gets all over my fingies.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
What am I just sucking my fingy? If Trey didn't know me and was sitting next to me and I was just sucking my fingers, you would throw a fit.
So, on that note, my mom's and my sister went to go see a movie today, and they had to leave because there was a guy in front of them who was acting weird. Like, he was like looking around, and he was putting like his coat over his head, and they were like, he was kept doing it, then he like moved over a seat and was doing it again, and they're like, they were creeped out. They left the theater.
What were they seeing?
They were seeing The Glass Castle.
I didn't even know that was a movie.
I think he might have. It sounded like he was trying to record it. From like what they're saying, where he was like putting it over his head, and then he was like moving different seats. So it sounded like he was trying to record, but they're so creeped out that he had to leave, or they had to leave. And I guess like he was like well dressed. They said he was well dressed.
Because he was making buku bucks selling that bootleg movie.
Buku, man. Just getting out on that BitTorrent, man. That BitTorrent money.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby.
Oh, now I got you doing it.
There you go. Now you know the rest of the story. Crispy Ham asks, favorite movie of the summer?
Ooh, favorite movie of the summer? Give me Dunkirk, baby.
Yeah, I think that might be the best one, baby.
If I have to go after Dunkirk,
I have to like the last.
I really liked Brigsby Bear.
I still need to see that. I was trying to see that now. I can't find it anymore. I'll have to wait.
I really liked Logan Lucky.
Yeah. What about Baby Driver?
Baby Driver, I don't know if I necessarily would think it was my second favorite.
Big Sick?
Big Sick was really good. I liked that. How about War for the Planet of the Apes?
That's a good one. It's a good choice. That's a good choice.
I think that another thing that I didn't put in news, but it could have been, was that they're going to make a big push to try to get that a Best Picture nomination.
Really?
Huh.
I could see that. I could see it being nominated. I don't see it. It's interesting that no like science fiction movie has ever won. Isn't that weird?
I mean, it's just the same reason like a comedy has never really won.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's not true. Like comedies.
Well, Annie
comedy.
Hall. Yeah, Annie Hall.
Yeah.
Look how New York we are.
Exactly.
I was about to say something else, but then I would probably have lost my license.
I heard the dog whistle. I heard the dog whistle.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. All right. So, Darian McBee. I don't know what my second one.
They were buying a bunch of bagels.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to watch Schindler's List soon and have a nice discussion about that film and be respectful.
All right.
So... second favorite, man. War for Planet of the Apes was great. I think Logan Lucky's up there. I think what other movies did we watch? I'm trying to think. Man, Planet of the Apes might be a good choice. I thought that was really well done.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's not up there at all. I think it's up there, but not up there at all. Because I keep thinking Logan was summer, but it wasn't, right?
No, that was early.
Yeah. And Guardians of the Galaxy was up there.
Alien Covenant.
Yeah. I thought that was good. But I thought it was better than people are saying it was. But then some people were saying it was like amazing, and I don't agree with that. I thought it was all right.
Okay.
I had a list of movies this year. I could pull that
Detroit.
Detroit, yeah, that was really good too. I don't know if it's my favorite though.
I may take Detroit over War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I might take Planet of the Apes second.
Okay.
Yeah. We could do summer movies maybe next week. Like what were our favorites? Anyway though, back on here. At Darian McBee asks, what's the last movie you saw that was a complete waste of time? I hate that feeling. Well, Darian's a good friend of mine. And he doesn't like any movie, so
Okay.
every movie to him is a waste of time. But
Okay,
anyway.
interesting.
Mhm.
Do you have anything that comes to mind immediately?
A complete waste of time?
Yeah.
Like going to see at the theaters or just watching?
Just watching.
Man, nothing comes to mind. I know there's plenty of movies that I just did not want to be there,
Mhm.
but it was usually because I was dragged to it. I remember, and usually it's I hate the movie because I'm there I'm there because I didn't want to be there.
Right.
So like Les Miserables, I did not want to see that movie.
Uh-huh.
It was Christmas Day. I wanted to see frickin' Quentin Tarantino and oh God,
Magnificent Seven.
no. Django. I wanted to see Django. That was Django.
That's the same year?
Yeah, it was Django
Oh,
and Les
interesting.
Miserables. My sister had bought us all tickets to go see Les Miserables. I'm like, fuck this movie. I don't want to see Django. I don't want to see the shit. We had to go see Les Miserables, so I hated it.
Are you talking about Les Miserables?
Les Miserables? What the hell is that about? Yeah, I had to go see that.
Watch some bread stealing movie?
What French Revolution looked like it sucked. It was just a bunch of dudes running around putting forks in each other's butts.
Yeah, I'll tell you why they real bad is they singing all the time.
Man, what was that
Friggin'
singing
fairy-
about? I don't get it. I don't get one bit. I want to hear about. I want to see action, man. I want to see them libs singing. What did the French ever do? That seemed like a pussy war to me. French Revolution was very bloody and a lot of bloodshed and a lot of very violent. So I mean, there's always movies I don't like, but I don't regret not seeing.
Okay.
Like, I really didn't like American Beauty.
Okay.
But I thought it was fun to see because I think it's fun to see sort of how things don't hold up and how and it was kind of funny to see. I saw it because I heard a lot of people talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw it and I realized a lot of it was very cliche and it was kind of a picture of 1999, which I was talking about earlier about how movies are pictures of that time. And just a lot of that stuff just did not hold up. We can get into that some other time. But I just thought it was kind of funny. And the whole, like, there's so much beauty. I'm like, oh, I can see these guys who recommend this movie are a bunch of pretentious assholes.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know. Do you like that movie at all? Am I speaking out of turn?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the movie. It's not near and dear to my heart.
Sure. I think also it's just maybe time and place seeing a movie, too.
Yeah.
How you feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
For me, it's The Circle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
look. A lot of times I can watch bad movies. I saw a Girls Trip recently, and I talked about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't made for me. But I can go and kind of see what kind of movies other people like. I have no idea what anything redeemable about The Circle is
I need to see that now.
at all.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I would rather watch The Hungry Games.
The Hungry Games.
The Starving Games made by the people that made like Meet the Spartans and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I watched that on
no.
Netflix. I had way more fun watching that than The Circle. I would watch that a million times over that goddamn mess.
I guess if we're going that way, I wouldn't say American Beauty is that. I thought it was I see why it was good, but I don't.
I mean, you get a definition of a waste of time is different for different people.
It wasn't a waste of time. I don't know a movie that was a waste of time. I gotta think about that hard. Maybe Spy Kids.
You're an awful person.
Darian McBee finally says, also, how is Tony Romo feeling right now heading into the season? Well, he's not playing Darian, so that's the answer there.
Yeah, well, why did you ask that question, though?
Because I asked that question to Jerry.
I know.
Oh,
why did you ask that to Jerry?
Because I was trying to get a question and be cool and be part of the cool kids asking questions, and it just failed. Because I thought he'd stop, but he wasn't stopping. And when you hear the audio, it definitely does not sound like he stopped. Even though to me, it sounded like he stopped.
Well, it's getting a lot of play these days. The trade drops have picked up immensely lately. I don't know.
When? Where? What do you listen to?
Bad radio.
Oh.
Minos throwing them in.
Yeah.
In that open.
Well, hopefully maybe one day we can get some Adam drops in there.
Well, who knows? Oh, and in Why Today Doesn't Suck, there will be a
Hey,
Corby!
That was actually at the Hang Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. I saw it live.
You were there.
Yeah.
Have you been back to the Hang Zone since then?
I haven't, but Austin and them went on Saturday.
Oh.
I had a Rangers game.
Okay. Oh. Well, all right. Well, I guess that's the end of the podcast right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Please tell us what you think. Give us a like on, I don't know, give us a review. Pinterest. Give us a like. Let us know what you think.
To your board.
Tell us what you think about it. Send a review. My Twitter name is @CrayTreyVids, and where are you on Twitter?
The Fullertron.
Okay. Yeah, just let us know what you think. Send us any kind of feedback. Thanks for listening to this very long podcast. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, baby.
It's called a road, it's called the Rainbow Road. It is a road that you go. It's a road, it's called the Rainbow Road. And you will know when you get there. It's called the road, it's called the Rainbow Road. It is a road that you go. It's a road that you go when you die. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's got Princess Peach, Mario, and Toad. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. It's Rainbow Road. It's where you go when you die. It's Rainbow Road. I'm with you again, Uncle. It's Rainbow Road, it's where you go when you die. It's Rainbow Road. I miss you again, Uncle. Oh, Rainbow Road. Where did you learn the song? It's called the road, it's called the Rainbow Road. It is a road that you go. It's called a road, it's called a Rainbow Road.
What's that song from?
And you will.
Rainbow Road. I mean.